Alright, so I finally got my microphone back. I was so happy that I'm gonna have good audio quality again. I had to send my microphone out to California to the repair guys out at the Tascam company, and they sent it back to me in a pretty timely fashion, and they didn't even charge me for their service, which I was super happy about. The one thing though is that there was a note in the box that they shipped it back to me in, and all it said was, make sure you flip the hold switch. Motherfucker. Alright, hey guys, what's up? Welcome to TTSK Tutorials, and this is FPS 1.40. So, we're finally going to add some animations to our enemies. So in our last episode, we created an enemy body, and in our last episode, we just quickly used a cube just to represent the enemy body, but today, we're going to be using multiple cubes to represent the enemy's torso, head, arms, and legs, and we're just going to do some really simple, crude animations just to represent how you're going to go about this process. But of course, you guys are probably going to want to use actually nice looking models or actually spend time making your game look nice, but that is up to you. For now, for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to use cubes. And so yeah, we're going to add actual animations. So we're only going to be adding actually two animations, and that is walking and running. So when the enemy is unaware of the player, it moves more slowly and casually around the level. So that is going to be our walking animation. And then once it sees the player, it's going to start running and move really fast. So we don't need to have the animations really look perfect. I already got some prototypes going on the computer, even though the animations aren't actually synced up as far as how far the feet move and how fast the enemy is moving. It's still not really noticeable at all that the enemy is still kind of floating above the ground. It really looks like the enemy is running on the ground, or at least if you do your animations right. So yeah, why don't we get started, because the actual code to do this is really simple. The majority of this episode is going to be spent doing the animations, so why don't we just get through the code and get into the animations. Alright, so we're going to be adding three variables to the enemy body script today. The first variable is parent script. Now, the reason why I added parent script, even though this isn't 100% necessary, it's more efficient for our engine, because every single frame we need to access the script that was the enemy body's parent, or the enemy movement script is the particular script that we're trying to remember. So we're just going to remember that inside of the awake function, just because this whole thing right here is pretty slow to call every single frame and can slow down our game. So we're just going to throw that variable in there just to make sure that we have the exact path saved to get to the variable that we need to make our game run a little bit faster. And also, this is going to be less code typing, sort of. It might be the same amount, I don't know. But anyways, so we have two more variables. We have walk animation string, and this is of type string, and run animation string, and this is of type string. So this is just like how on the gun we had the reload animation string. We need to save a string just because later on you might want to do different versions of the walking and running animations. Like, let's say you create a walking animation and it looks pretty good, but later on in your game you want to polish things up and really start getting it to look nice, and you think, hey, I need to replace that walking animation, so you might create walk animation 2 or something like that, or enemy walk animation 2. So to make it easily switchable, and so that you don't need to delete your old one in case you want to go back to your old one, in case your new one doesn't look as good as your old one, we're just going to use a string. So a string is a string of letters and numbers. So you type out the name of the animation or the new animation and put it in here so that Unity basically knows which animation to play when we actually go to play the animation. And we have the same thing for run animation string. So these two variables pretty much go hand in hand. Alright, so let's take a look at what we actually threw inside of function awake. So we have parent script equal transform.parent.gameObject.getComponent enemy movement script. So parent script is the variable that we have up here that is going to save the script that is attached to the actual enemy, which is the enemy sphere, which we now turned invisible. We turned the renderer off so that you can't see it. So we're saving that particular script. Right now we have the We have it saved inside of, where is it? Oh, parent to follow, and that is of type transform. Now we could access it through this, but what we would end up having to do is we would do parent to follow dot game object dot get components enemy movement script. So that's a lot of typing to do over and over again, and also that's slow on the engine because it has to go through all of those steps to get to that last variable. So we're going to eliminate the first two steps and we're just going to remember the enemy script itself. So that is of type enemy movement script because it is saving that one particular enemy movement script. So parent script equal transform dot parent. And we can either write transform.parents, or if we put it after this line of code, we could have written parent to follow dot game object. So anyways, we have transform.parent dot game object dot get component enemy movement script. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. So let's move on to our next line of code that we added inside of function awake, which is animation.wrapMode equal wrapMode.loop. So what we're doing here is, first of all, animation. We are accessing the animation component that is attached to the game object that this script is attached to, or in other words, the walk animation and the run animation that is going to be on the enemy body. And then we are going to access the variable wrap mode. Now there are a couple different wrap modes. There are just, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's just play or something like that, where it just plays through and stops. And then there's loop, which is what we're going to be using. And then there's ping pong, which ping pong plays through it and then plays through it in reverse. And then I think plays through it normally again and then just keeps on looping that cycle. But the wrap mode that we want to use is loop. So that means it's going to play, and then as soon as it's done, it's going to go right back to the beginning and play again. So we're going to have one step for every loop, or you could do 2 or 3 steps depending on how fancy you want your animations to be. But anyways, we're going to have the enemy take a step or two, and then it's going to loop back to the beginning. So we're going to have the wrap mode equal wrap mode dot loop, and the wrap mode is a class, and loop is, I guess, a variable inside of that class. But anyways, we're basically just setting the wrap mode to loop so that our enemy can walk properly. Alright, now let's take a look at the couple of lines that we added inside of function awake. And it is just 4 lines right here. So the first line is an if statement, and it says if animation.isPlaying walk animation string is false. So we have the exclamation mark right here, which means is false. And then we are accessing the animation that is attached to the game object that this script is attached to. And then we're pulling out a function is playing from that. And notice that the I in is playing is capital. If it is lowercase, it is just going to give you back a true or false whether or not it is playing any animation. But for this case, we want to see if it is playing the walk animation, because we don't want to play the walk animation if it's already playing, because all that's going to do is every frame bring it right back to the beginning. So basically our enemy is just going to be frozen, and we don't want that. So we want to make sure that the walk animation is not playing. So we are going to put exclamation mark animation.isPlaying walk animation string so that we know what exact animation to look at, and if it is not playing, and if parent script.aware is false. So we want to only play the walking animation if the enemy is unaware or the variable aware is false, so that the enemy is moving slowly and we are playing the appropriate animation. So if both of those conditions are true, or I should really say if both of these conditions are false, then we are going to run the next line of code, which is simply animation.play walk animation string, and this is simply going to play the animation that is the walk animation defined by the string that we saved inside of the variable walk animation string. And we are going to do the exact opposite with the next 2 lines of code. We are first going to check to make sure we are not playing the run animation. So exclamation mark animation.isPlaying run animation string. And then we are going to check to see if aware is true this time. Because if aware is true, the enemy is alerted and they know the player is there. They are aware the player is there. So they're going to be running and they're going to be trying to get to that player. So we need to be playing the run animation. So if the parent script is not aware and we are not already running or playing the run animation, then we're going to do animation.play run animation string. So yeah, like I said, this is not much code. Really, the whole focus of this episode is going to be in the actual animations, which we are going to do in the screen recording. So why don't we go do that now? So now I'm going to cut the green screen and go into Unity and show you how to do that inside of Unity. Alright, here we are inside of Unity, and now let's turn this enemy body into an actual thing that kind of looks like a body. So I'm going to move this over here and just make that a head, and let's resize that just a little and grab this and this, and I'm going to move them up a bit, and I'm going to shrink this down a bit. Alright, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm going to call this enemy body torso. And this one, enemy body head. And now let's make some arms and legs. So click on that, duplicate, bring it around there. Oops. And duplicate that. Alright, and this is his, let's see if he's facing this way, that's his left arm. L arm. And we'll call this R arm for right and left. Alright, and now let's duplicate those and make some legs. And we're going to have this be the left leg and right leg. And now let's select all of them and make sure his feet are on the floor. So like right there. Alright, that looks not good at all, but for demonstration purposes, this should work perfectly. Now let's create some empty game objects for the arms and legs for the animation, because right now if we try rotating the arms and legs, they rotate around the center, and that's going to be really tricky to make that work with the animation system. So we're going to create an empty game object. So let me first press F, focus in on that. Game object, create empty, drag and drop it into here, and we will call this left arm empty. And I want to change the location of it to that. Yeah, that should be good. And I'm going to duplicate that and bring it over to his right arm. Actually, wait. Yeah, right arm. And now let's take both of those and let's duplicate them and bring them down. Bring them up. Bring it over. And this one, just bring it over. And that should be good, I think. Alright, now we have to rename these accordingly. So, right leg empty. And this is left leg empty. right arm empty. And left arm is already named. All right. And I'm going to move this arm over just a little. Okay, perfect. And now we want to make this a child of that. Left leg onto left leg. Right arm onto right arm. Right leg onto right leg. And there we go. And now when we rotate these empty game objects, now our rotation looks more like that. And that we want it to pivot around the shoulders and hips. So that should work a lot better for the animations. Alright, cool. And this guy is really, really tiny. So why don't we, let's see, can we scale all of these together? Let's see what happens. Nope. What if I do center? Nope. I'll scale the enemy body. Yeah, I'll just scale it up. Yeah. That's probably about as tall as the player. Maybe. Alright, now let's add some animations. So, component, make sure you have enemy body selected. Component, miscellaneous, animation. Let's open up the animation window. And then go to create new clip. And I'm going to call this enemy walking. Alright, so now I'm just going to simply make a walking animation, and I'm just going to make his feet move back and forth. So let's take his left leg and, well, let's see. First of all, we need to create keyframes. So for this and for this, will that work that way? Can I create keyframe? No, I gotta select it in here. So I'll select enemy body. And nope, not the left arm. I just want to work on the legs right now. And rotation. I gotta open up this and this. So it doesn't matter which rotation you select, because it's going to create a keyframe for all of the rotations on all of the 3 axes. So now we got a keyframe there, and I want this whole cycle to last 60 frames or 1 second. So I'm going to create another keyframe, and in the middle I want another keyframe. And now right here is where I'm going to start doing some animations. So left leg, we want to go, it's rotating not how I want it to. Pivot, there we go, that was what was wrong. So now, there we go. Rotate that backwards, right leg, rotate that forwards. And now take this point here and do the exact opposite. And let's give that a play and see how it looks. Okay. That'll do. That is a really, really goofy, simple animation, but that'll have to work for now. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And now I'm going to make the running animation, which is going to be extremely similar to the walking animation. So enemy running. Except this time I'm going to make his arms and legs move. And besides that, I guess I'll pretty much keep it the same. So now let's select the arms and create a keyframe on the rotations. So go to 0, create keyframe, and why is it by default set to 60 frames long? I'm not sure how to change that. I will have to figure that out in the future. But I will just make it 60 frames long then. So, let's see, where do we want all the keyframes? I think I want 4 keyframes where everything's normal, or like in this position. So now, right about here-ish, I'm going to, let's see, I will start with the legs. So first I want this leg to go forward. Then I want it to go backwards. Then I want it to go forwards. And then I want it to go backwards. And now let's do the right leg the exact same way, only opposite. Let's test that out real quick. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's good enough. Oh, I see. How did that happen? Honestly, Unity animation systems, sometimes you really confuse me. Alright, how does that look? Let's give that a play. That's still not lined up perfectly, but it's good enough for me. Now let's start moving the arms. So left arm needs to go this way, and then it needs to go this way. Oh, let's see, and then, ooh, wrong axis. What just happened? Let's play it and see what's actually happening. Wow. Not quite what I meant to do. Okay. Oh, I see. It's this yellow axis right here. So I'm just going to delete it. And that should fix the problem. Yep, that fixed the problem. Okay, now where was I? So I was right here. Goes back. Wait. Okay, it goes forward. And is it going to go down now? I think at this point is where I want it to go that way. And at this point, why is it doing that? That is not quite what I wanted. Oh, this is turning into a mess. Alright, that is not what I wanted at all. Okay, let's see if I can make the other arm work normally. So I'm going to go to right arm empty and start animating this. So I already have keyframes on here, right? Yes, I do. I have keyframes on here. So right here, I want it to go that way. Right here, I want it to go that way. And that way. And that way. Okay, how come that arm worked pretty much perfectly, but the other one glitched out? I don't know what I did wrong. Let's try this. Okay, so that was the left arm. This is the blue axis. I need to be 0. And I'm pretty sure the yellow rotation around Y just all needs to be deleted. There. I think the animation is working. There we go. Now it looks like he's running. Sort of. That's a bad animation, but we can use it. That'll work. So now we have our 2 animations made. So I think that's everything we need to make before we start coding, so let's actually get into coding. So let's open up the enemy body script. And let's add our variables. So the first one was parent script. Parent script of type enemy body script. No, it was enemy movement script. That's right. And now after that, let's see, it was walk animation string and run animation string. Animation string. And this is going to be a string. And let's run animation string. And this will be a string. Okay, cool. And I think we just need some if statements down here. Oh, we also need to declare the parent script variable. So, or not declare it, set it is what I meant. Parent script equal transform dot parent, well, not particle system. Parent, did I spell that right? Yes. Dot get component enemy movement script. Alright, now let's go down here and add our if statements. So if, I don't remember what the if statement was. Oh, we also need to set the animation to wrap mode, and it doesn't matter where we put it. I'm just going to throw this in here. So animation dot wrap mode equal wrap mode dot loop. And now we go to our if statements, which were down here. So if walk animation string is not playing and the parent is not aware. So if, let me hold on the right key, if animation that is playing, and make sure you do capital, and walk animation string. So if the walk animation string is not playing and parent script dot aware, and we need an exclamation mark because we only want to walk when the enemy is unaware or aware is false. And if that is the case, animation dot play walk animation string. Let me just double check, make sure I'm doing that right so far. Yes, I am. All right. Now I'm going to duplicate this. So copy, paste, and we're going to change that word to run. And then we're going to delete that exclamation mark and set this to run. And I think that should do it for the coding. So now let's go back into Unity. So enemy body, the walk animation string is enemy walking, and this is enemy running. All right, cool. Is there anything else I need to do? I think that's set to go. Let's give it a test run, see if it's working. Do I have it set to play automatically? It looks like it's working. Sweet. Wow, he's a lot taller than I thought he was going to be. But it looks like he's working. And can I walk through him? Yes, I can walk straight through him because I need to turn the colliders on. But I'll do that later in the next episode for the ragdoll. Alright. Now when he knows that I'm here, he goes into running mode. Okay, these animations could definitely be adjusted. But it's a lot better than just a little red sphere. I actually feel like there's somebody alive in this game now. So I'd say, as crappy as that looks, it's kind of cool, actually. So yes, I guess this has been the entire episode because it is working now. So now we just need to add the ragdoll physics and the enemy health and make it so that you can shoot the enemy. So that will be a really fun episode, and it'll really start to make the enemies start coming together. And then after that, I think we just need to make the enemy be able to shoot, and I think then we'll be done. We might be able to add some other features to it. I guess we'll see. But yes, I guess until my next episode, I'll see you guys later, and keep making games. Oh great, he's stuck. How did that happen? Go. Go, there he goes. That's not perfect. I probably need to place my, what are they called? The AI path cells and doors a little better. I still haven't figured out the perfect optimal way of placing them, but that seems to have an effect on whether or not they get stuck inside a door. Sometimes you just need to move it around or give a little bit more space in an area so that it doesn't get stuck like that. So anyways, like I was saying, until my next episode, I'll see you guys later, and keep making games.